It's the biggest game for the group of five in 2022, and this is going to be a college football game that believe most people will want to watch. It's a shame that College Game Day is not going there, but the Tulane Green Wave sitting at 8-1 face the UCF Knights at 7-2. I think both teams are having great seasons. And we're going to break down what to look for in each team, what to look for in certain matchups, and certain position battles for certain each team is going to be a key to keep an eye on. But both teams have really good stories. We're going to start with UCF. This is a team who I think many thought would take a step back under Gus Malzahn initially, but he has kept them competitive. He has kept them fighting. And this year, they surprised a lot of people by beating Cincinnati, and they are well in the race for the AAC championship. You know, the Louisville loss at the beginning of the year was a disappointing loss, but they have bounced back. And, you know, they did have another disappointing loss against ECU, but this is a team that does not quit. And this is a team that, if healthy, is going to be competitive with a lot of the teams that they face, including a team like Tulane. Now, this is a new test. Beating Cincinnati was really good, but I think that Tulane is just that step above Cincinnati right now in terms of a more complete team, that winning this game is going to be tough. And that starts with the offense. You look at what they have going on lately. RJ Harvey has been a phenomenal player for them. He has been big lately in his performances with the Knights offense. And with, you know, given that they're, again, injuries have really limited this team. And if guys are healthy, this is a dangerous team. If guys are hurt, though, that's where things get interesting. The fortunate part is guys like RJ Harvey have given this offense depth. Same thing with the wide receivers. We've seen a number of guys step up. We knew Ryan O'Keefe coming into the year, but other guys have stepped up too. Kobe Hudson has been big as of late. He and Mikey Keene have kind of had a connection. And then it comes down to the quarterback play. John Rice Plumlee is, to me, who is going to be the more complete package when you're playing offense. But if Plumlee can't go, that means that we're going to take a look at Mikey Keene. So this is a quarterback position battle that has been going on throughout the year. It's just a more of a whether or not John Rice Plumlee has been healthy. Now, to me, Gus Malzahn's system is catered towards what Plumlee brings to the table. It's more catered toward his skill set. This is a guy who runs the ball extremely well and has actually been throwing the ball better than he has in his career. Now, he's not an elite passer by any means, but he is the reason why that offense works so well. Now, if he can't go and Gus Malzahn is able to get this team into kind of a new offense, almost a way into which that they can work around Mikey Keene's skill set a little bit differently, because the rushing attack is not there with Mikey Keene. So you're taking one player away from that rushing attack. You're going to rely on your offensive line to open up more running lanes for guys like Isaiah Bowser, RJ Harvey, anybody that is going to run the football. It's not going to be the quarterback with Mikey Keene. So if Keene is the guy, I think that Mikey Keene can be really good. I just think that he needs to be in a system that's going to allow him to do good things. Now, I think that Malzahn and that staff can figure some things out, because this is a guy who's really good throwing on the run. He's not going to be the runner that Plumlee is, but he is someone that can shred a defense. So that's something to keep an eye on as well. That's going to be a huge key for UCF. And you're looking at the defense that they're going to face. We'll talk about them in just a second. This is going to be a team that cannot turn the ball over, and they're going to have to be playing at their best. And in order just to score enough points, they're going to have to be disciplined as well. The other thing is they're going to have to be able to stop this Tulane offense. Now, Tulane has had some limitations offensively, but this UCF defense, honestly, has been kind of a surprise this year. You look at the stats they have coming into this year, or coming into this game, and you're looking at a defensive group that has been better than people expected. I don't think we've talked about UCF's defense and how good they've actually been at times. I think that obviously they have some limitations, but again, that's where the injuries come in. And when you have so many new guys playing, it's kind of hard to maintain that success. However, you're looking at a group that is gaining a lot of valuable experience. And when those guys come back healthy, those veteran starters, you're looking at a group that is very deep, very talented. And I think that when you're looking at what UCF wants to do, one of the biggest things is Tyjae Spears is going to be a guy that they want to take away. That is something they need to do. And that front seven is going to play a big role in that. If they're able to slow down that rushing attack, then you put pressure on your secondary to make plays. Guys like Devod Wilson, Devontae Brown, they have been showing that they are good players. They are showing that they can shut down opposing offenses at times and make big plays. So that's going to be something I think UCF might try to do. They're going to say, hey, Michael Pratt, you're going to have to beat us with your arm. And when you look at what this Tulane offense has done, that is maybe the one weakness that you could point out if you're UCF and say that is the group that is going to beat us. That is the group that is going to take us down. If they're able to do that, then props to them. But if they're not, then UCF is definitely in business. Now, when you look at the other side, this is a Tulane team that has a lot of great stories. Michael Pratt's story, for those who have followed Tulane, has been one of the more inspiring stories in college football. Losing his friend, having a tattoo that is very meaningful to him, that kind of stuff drives him. And it's a big reason why this offense has been so good this year. I think last year, many expected Michael Pratt to take a step forward. He did not do that. They finished 2-10, and that was disappointing. However, this year, it feels different. This feels like a unit and a group that is very good, playing well together. And this offense has taken strides in the right direction. Now, a big reason for that, Tyjae Spears has been able to stay healthy. He has been an absolute monster for Tulane's offense. You look at what they are able to do to get him the ball in space, and he's able to make some big plays too, create some space for himself. That has been really good for them too. Now, when you look at the pass catchers, Pratt is not throwing to one guy. You look at what this group brings to the table, and you have a group that has 6 players with 20 catches or more. That is depth at the pass catcher position. That also means that an opposing defense cannot focus on one guy. You can't just take away Deuce Watts. You can't just take away Jaquan Jackson. You can't take away Tyreek James. There's so many guys that can play at a high level, and Michael Pratt has done a good job of spreading the ball out. When you're looking at what this passing attack is going to, we mentioned earlier, the passing attack is going to be a big X factor for Tulane, because I believe that UCF is going to try to take away Tyjae Spears and ask Michael Pratt to beat them with his arm. And guys like Deuce Watts, we've seen some of the plays that Deuce Watts has made this year. He has made some incredible catches, some Sports Center top 10 catches, and that is something that they can do. It's just that they're not going to focus on one guy. They have the ability to distribute the football, and that forces the defense to cover everybody. You don't just cover one player and just hope the rest just falls into place. You have to cover everybody, because this is a group that spreads the ball out so well. Now, the one thing that I will say is that Tulane's defense is a big reason for their success, maybe the biggest reason why they have been so successful. And I think they're still flying under the radar. Again, this is why I get frustrated with College Game Day, because one of the biggest reasons why I don't appreciate the show as much as I should is they just keep going back to the same places. They're going to Austin, Texas for the second time, and they could be going to New Orleans to watch really a game that impacts the NY6 race. This is a group of 5 matchup that a lot of people are going to pay attention to. It's a ranked matchup too. This isn't just 2 random teams. These are 2 really good teams that are playing for a spot in an NY6 bowl game. And that is something that should be, I mean, I get that TCU is undefeated. I like their story, but I think that this game deserves more attention. And you look at this defense of Tulane, they shut down Kansas State at the beginning of the year. This is a group that knows how to play good football. They have a duo of linebackers in Dorian Williams and Nick Anderson that are just natural playmakers. I've been a big fan of the both of them, but specifically Dorian Williams. I saw the potential in him a couple of years ago. I thought he could be a really good player, and I didn't expect this. And I think that he has done a phenomenal job of putting in the work in the offseason, off of the field, and he is doing things that everybody within the Tulane program has seen and has predicted, and that's been huge. Now, the front 7 has done their job. However, the secondary is a really good group as well. And also, the theme of the day is going to be this is an underrated group. Larry Brooks, Macon Clark, and Jarius Monroe has really stepped up on the back end. You look at what they've been able to do. Macon Clark has been really fun to watch. If you're new to Tulane, if you're new to the group of 5, Macon Clark, Dorian Williams, Nick Anderson, all those guys, those are guys you need to pay attention to. Tulane is one of those teams that is really fun. It feels like this is a special team. They have something special going, and there's another chance for them to prove that. Now, the one concern with Tulane so far has been the Southern Miss loss. That still is, I don't really know how to explain it. It was very disappointing because it also comes right after the Kansas State win. So they beat a Power 5 team, and then they go and lose to a Sun Belt team. Now, the Sun Belt is much better this year. However, losing to Southern Miss after beating Kansas State was definitely a letdown game. It seems to have motivated them. They were able to win against Houston, squeak out a win there. They beat ECU, a team that UCF lost to, and that's something that I think we'll keep an eye on in terms of how they compete with UCF, because UCF is still a team I think that most casual people assume is going to win, but Tulane is a team that will not back down. They have the ability to make big plays. They have the ability to win big games, and it's because their offense is taking a step forward. Their defense plays lights out at times, and it's going to be tough. You look at what these two teams do really well. UCF really wants to run the football, and Tulane is very good at stopping the run. 38th in rush defense, 127 yards per game, and UCF wants to run the ball. There's no doubt about that. Even if Mikey Keene is playing quarterback, if he's running the offense, this is the group that wants to run the football. Now, the other thing is that if you can't run the football, then you have to throw. Well, Tulane has the 16th best pass defense in college football, so that's going to be very tough for them to do. And in terms of talent, both teams have it. There's no secret about that. This is a group that is extremely talented on both sides of the football for both teams. When you look at who you would give the edge to, for me at quarterback, it's going to be whether or not John Rice Plumlee plays. Because if Mikey Keene plays, which again, this is the one thing I wish was different about college football, is better injury reports. But if John Rice Plumlee plays, I think UCF has a better quarterback. Michael Pratt is good, but I don't think he's John Rice Plumlee. If Mikey Keene plays, then that's where I flip it over. Running back is honestly, it feels like a toss-up. I'm giving the edge to Tulane just because Tyjae Spears has been so consistent, as has been so electric. Wide receiver, UCF's wide receivers, which is really funny to say with the kind of offense they've run. UCF's receivers have been the better group. They are the more talented, the more explosive group. Tulane, you can make an argument that they have better depth, but in terms of ceiling, UCF gets the nod there. Tight end, you could go either way. Honestly, I think that I just give the nod to Tulane for the depth and for what they've been able to do. Offensive line, I will give it to UCF. They have been, I think they've stepped up in a big way this year too, after kind of a disappointing year in 2021. And you look at the defensive line, UCF has a bunch of dudes that have been flying all over the field. Tulane also has some relatively unknown guys, so I'm going to give the edge there. Linebacker and DB are going to Tulane. Again, we talked about the guys earlier: Dorian Williams, Nick Anderson, Megan Clark, Larry Brooks, you name it. This is a defense on the back end that is extremely talented and extremely good at what they're doing. Now, head coach for this year, I'm giving the edge to Willie Fritz. I give him a slight edge over Gus Malzahn. I think that the loss to ECU was very disappointing. And when you have a comparable foe, Tulane beat ECU, UCF did not. I'm giving the edge here, but again, that is another group that is really close, another position, not even position, just another comparison that is really close. This is going to be a good game. I think that this the AAC, honestly, this feels like a down year for them, and yet they are still in the NY6 competition. They are driving that conversation once again. Everybody had a chance to catch up with them, and when you look at who's still available, Cincinnati's still very much in this race. So this is a big game for both sides. Both sides need a win really, really bad, because Cincinnati is very much in this race, and there's other teams behind them as well in this race, in the conference and for the NY6. When you look outside the conference, you have a few teams that are still hanging in there. Coastal Carolina will definitely have a say in what's going on. I think that's a very good group. They did just lose their quarterback in Grayson McCall. That's going to be huge for them. So again, this game carries plenty of weight. I'm not saying that it is playoff important, but this is an important game. And again, that's why I'm disappointed that College Game Day decided to repeat when you could have gone to a way more electric atmosphere in New Orleans, playing a UCF team that is very good. There's a lot at stake. Both of these teams are really fun. The stories that they have behind them with each of their players is really fun as well. And I think that this is going to be an absolute battle. Both teams are going to go back and forth. The talent is there. The high level of play, the high quality of play is there. Again, injuries are going to play a big role in this matchup. But I think that when you come down to it, this is one of the better games in college football this week, not even just in the group of 5. I think that you need to pay attention to this game. I think that a lot of people will pay attention to this game, and when it comes down to it, you're going to find yourself thoroughly entertained, which is something that is not new to this conference. You look at some of the games we've seen in the past. When GameDay went to Memphis, when Memphis played SMU back in 2018, that was a thrower. Cincinnati's been really good. UCF's had its fair share of success. This is a conference that continually puts on a show for the group of 5. It continually represents the group of 5 well, and it's only fitting that Tulane and UCF continue that tradition this year.